Have you ever felt the world speaking, but no one truly listening here? At The Silent Thinker, we pause, we reflect, and we dare to question everything that noise drowns out. This isn't just another video to scroll past. It's a door, a quiet moment carved out for minds that seek clarity, not chaos. For hearts that crave stillness in a world that moves too fast. If something in you stirs as you watch, don't keep it silent. Leave a comment, subscribe to this journey, and let your thoughts echo among thinkers like you. Stay until the end. Every idea we uncover here is a piece of a greater truth. Miss one, and you might miss the turning point your soul has been waiting for. Part 1. When unfortunate events unfold with perfect precision. You know, in America, we're taught to chalk things up to coincidence. You spill your coffee, miss your meeting, your car won't start, and by noon, you're wondering if Mercury's in retrograde again. And hey, sometimes that's all it is, life being messy. But then there are those times when things don't just go wrong. They fall apart in ways that feel too specific, too synchronized, and just too much. That's when you start to question. Is someone out there messing with my energy? Now, I'm not talking about some Hollywood movie version of witchcraft, no pentagrams, no cloaked figures chanting in candlelight. I'm talking about subtle, intentional manipulation. I'm talking about someone directing real spiritual force toward you with the goal of disruption through envy, anger, or just plain malice. And the first sign you might be under attack, it's when your life starts unraveling. In all the places it used to shine. Picture this. You're healthy, energetic. Things at work are finally looking up, but suddenly you're getting sick every other week. Your top clients start backing out. Your happy relationship turns into a war zone over the tiniest things. And these aren't random blips. They come all at once, like dominoes falling in a pattern only someone else could have set up. That's the thing. True spiritual attacks don't hit you everywhere. They hit where it hurts most, where your light was strongest, where your momentum was rising, and when 3 or more core areas of your life collapse at once without clear reason. That's not just bad luck. That's a signature, a calling card. Something or someone is working against you. In my own life, I noticed this after I started gaining traction with my passion projects. I had energy, purpose, and clarity. Then out of nowhere, insomnia hit. Tech glitches became constant. My best friends started drifting for no reason. Every time I sat down to create, it felt like something invisible was choking my motivation. It wasn't until I slowed down and really looked that I saw the pattern. These disruptions always came after I interacted with one specific person, the same person who smiled to my face, but couldn't hide that subtle resentment in their tone. They'd ask personal questions, act overly supportive, but something in my gut said, be careful. So here's what I want you to do. Start tracking your bad days. Keep a simple journal. Write down what happened, what was going well right before, who you were talking to, what you were about to achieve. Patterns will emerge. You might find that things always go wrong right after a certain interaction, or whenever you make progress on something meaningful. That's not paranoia. It's awareness. We live in a world that's finally waking up to the reality that energy is real, intention is real, and spiritual attacks aren't folklore. They're physics. Energy directed with focus and repetition can disrupt a person's life. And recognizing this first sign, the one where things just feel too wrong, too fast, might be what saves you from months or years of confusion, setbacks, or even loss. And remember, this is just the beginning. The other signs build on this one. Keep watching, because if this first sign feels familiar to you, the rest might just confirm what you've been sensing all along. Part 2. When your body and emotions no longer feel like your own. Let's talk about your body, your mind, your emotions, because when something's wrong energetically, that's where it shows up next. And let me tell you, this part hits hard because it feels so personal and so unexplainable. I once knew a woman, let's call her Rachel. She was bright, athletic, and owned her own business, the kind of person who lit up every room she walked into. But then, out of nowhere, she started fading, not just emotionally, but physically too. By mid-afternoon, she'd be totally wiped out. Her doctors ran every test: thyroid, blood work, sleep studies, you name it. All results normal. But Rachel knew something was deeply off. She told me, "It's not regular tired. It feels like someone's draining my battery." And that's when I knew this wasn't depression. This wasn't burnout. This was energetic interference. When someone directs harmful intent toward you, especially through rituals or focused negative energy, your own life force starts reacting. Think of it like someone hacking your Wi-Fi. They're not inside your house, but your signal's scrambled. You can't connect. And what used to flow easily, your creativity, your joy, your rest suddenly shuts down. Common signs: crushing fatigue for no reason, sudden anxiety or sadness that isn't yours, feeling heavy in certain rooms or around certain people, vivid, recurring nightmares, especially ones where you feel watched, trapped, or helpless. And the worst part, none of it responds to the usual solutions. You try to sleep more, still tired. You take supplements, no change. You meditate, your mind races. You drink coffee, it barely helps. Why? Because the source isn't physical, it's energetic, and your body knows it. I've heard countless stories like Rachel's. Artists who suddenly lose their creative spark. Athletes who get weird injuries over and over again. Empaths who develop sudden social anxiety. It's like the part of you that made you gets hijacked, like something's intentionally trying to dim your light. If this is resonating with you, I urge you to start tracking your symptoms. When do they get worse? Who were you with before they started? Where were you? Do they go away when you travel or when you're alone? Rachel realized that her symptoms disappeared completely when she visited her sister in another state but returned hours after coming home. That's not coincidence. That's evidence. And let me be clear, this isn't about blame or fear. It's about clarity. When your emotions shift violently with no logical reason, when your body feels hijacked, when your dreams become dark and invasive, those are warning lights. They're your soul saying, pay attention. And once you start paying attention, you take your power back. Because the truth is, no energy, no matter how dark, can overpower a spirit that is aware, grounded, and protected. But you have to see it first. And this is your second sign. Part 3. Strange objects. When negative energy takes physical form, sometimes the spiritual world leaves fingerprints in the physical. And when you're dealing with an intentional energetic attack, yes, witchcraft included, those fingerprints often come in the form of objects that don't quite belong. I'm not talking about haunted dolls or horror movie props. I'm talking about ordinary things. Herbs tied with red string, coins placed heads up in a line, powdery substances tucked in the corner of a drawer, jewelry that suddenly feels off, or even your favorite photo frames mysteriously turn to face the wall. You ever walk into your own bedroom and feel like the air is heavier? Or you glance at your desk and something just feels out of place though. Everything looks fine. That's not paranoia. That's intuition reading energy imprints. And sometimes those imprints come from objects that were deliberately placed to anchor negativity in your space. I remember a guy named Mark who kept having migraines every time he worked from his home office. He thought it was stress, until one day he was cleaning under his desk and found a tiny cloth pouch filled with dried leaves and hair tied shut with twine. He didn't put it there. His wife didn't. And no, it wasn't from the previous homeowner. They had lived there for years. The moment he removed it, the migraine stopped. That's not a coincidence. That's cause and effect, just from another dimension. This is how energy attacks work. They link spiritual intent to physical space using symbolic anchors. And unless you're paying attention, you'll overlook them completely. So, here's what I want you to do. Look around your home, your car, your office, especially in entryways, under beds or furniture, inside closets, corners of rooms, houseplants, your pillow, mattress, or shoes. Look for anything that wasn't there before. Anything that gives you a gut feeling of wrongness. It could be something small, a button, a rock, a bundle of thread. If it feels odd, trust that feeling. And most importantly, do not touch these objects with your bare hands. Use gloves, paper towels, tongs, whatever you've got. These items can carry energetic charge, and touching them directly can pull that charge into your body. Once removed, place the item in a sealed bag. You can bury it far away. Burn it with intention. Or, if you practice energy clearing, purify it with sage, sound, or salt, but always set a clear intent. This energy is not mine. I release it and cut all ties. In spiritual warfare, these little objects are like landmines, small, hidden, but powerful. And if you've been feeling off in your own space, restless, sick, anxious, it's worth checking whether something foreign has quietly been embedded in your sanctuary. Because your home isn't just where you sleep, it's where your energy rests. And that energy deserves to be safe. So, take a walk through your space and let your intuition lead. Part 4. When close relationships mysteriously fall apart, there's a special kind of heartbreak that comes from losing someone who used to know your soul. I'm not talking about the slow drifting apart that happens over time. I'm talking about the sudden, sharp disconnect, the friend who ghosts you overnight, the coworker who turns cold for no reason, the partner who starts seeing you as the enemy. When nothing's changed on your end, it feels like a switch flipped, and you're left wondering, what just happened? This isn't just a bad week in communication. It's deeper. It's that eerie sense that someone or something is influencing your connections, distorting the trust between you and the people closest to you. I've seen it happen time and again. A woman reconnects with a family member after years apart. The relationship blooms until someone close to her starts spreading strange rumors. The same family member who once called her a blessing now won't return her calls. The room feels colder when she walks in, and the words she never said are now being used against her. What's happening here? Spiritual interference, energetic manipulation, witchcraft that targets relationships. It's not about mind control or hypnotism. It's about planting energetic seeds of doubt whispers that twist perception, shadows that block understanding. And these seeds are often sown through envy, resentment, or intentional rituals that aim to sever connection. Here's what it can look like. Your messages don't go through or get misinterpreted. People who once supported you suddenly question your integrity. You feel an invisible wall between you and someone you love, but can't explain why. Misunderstandings multiply, and even small conversations spark arguments. Group chats fall silent when you speak. Invitations stop coming. And here's the dangerous part. You start to doubt yourself. Did I say something wrong? Maybe I'm just too sensitive. Maybe I am the problem. But you're not. You're being isolated. And isolation is the #1 tactic used in any spiritual attack. It weakens you, disconnects you from your lifelines, and makes you easier to target. These rifts don't always come from malice. Sometimes, the people acting distant don't even know why they're doing it. They just feel off around you. That's what makes this so heartbreaking. They aren't evil. They're under influence. So how do you respond? Not with anger, not with desperation, but with clarity and compassion. Protect your energy. Reach out, but without force. Observe patterns. Document them. And most importantly, maintain your inner peace. Relationships may fade, but if they were real, they can return once the interference is removed. Keep your heart open, but guarded. And remember, when your light grows, so do the shadows trying to dim it. Don't take every rejection personally. Sometimes it's not about you. It's about the energy working against you. Energy you now have the power to recognize. Part 5. Intuitive warnings and spiritual disturbances you can't ignore. There's a kind of warning system built into you. It doesn't come from science or logic. It comes from something deeper. And when someone is actively working against your energy, trying to bend your life with dark intentions, your intuition knows before your mind does. You might not see anything. You might not hear anything, but you'll feel it. That sudden chill when you enter a room, the tightening in your stomach around certain people, the sense that you're being watched, even when you're alone. These aren't just passing moods, they're signals. And if you're experiencing them more often, especially alongside everything we've already talked about, then your spirit is waving a red flag. I've heard countless people say things like, "I just had a feeling I shouldn't go there. I felt drained the second they walked in." That dream. It didn't feel like a dream. It felt like a message. These impressions don't come from nowhere. When someone is directing dark energy toward you, whether intentionally or unconsciously, your spiritual defenses pick up on it long before the physical world shows any signs. You might also notice recurring nightmares, especially of being chased, trapped, or watched, restlessness, or shallow breathing. In places that used to feel safe, sudden blocks in your meditation or prayer practice, like static in the line, a sense that your thoughts aren't entirely your own, like you're being pulled out of your own center. And here's the thing, most people ignore these signals. They chalk it up to stress, or they tell themselves, "I'm just being dramatic," but you're not. There's a difference between fear and intuition. Fear is loud and chaotic. Intuition is quiet, consistent, and always calm. And when it speaks, especially in moments that seem too weird to explain, it's almost always trying to protect you. If you've been feeling spiritually disconnected, emotionally off balance, or like something is just wrong with no real explanation, start paying attention to the patterns. Write down when the feeling happens, where you are, who's around you, what you are about to do. Sometimes, the energy around certain people or places carries hidden interference, especially if jealousy or resentment is involved. And if your once powerful connection to something bigger, God, Source, the universe, starts to feel blocked or distant, that's another huge clue, because spiritual attacks often aim to isolate you, not just from others, but from your own sense of purpose and peace. The good news: awareness changes everything. Once you see what's happening, it loses its grip. You can clear your space with sage, sound, prayer, or simple intention. You can rebuild your shield mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and most of all, you can trust that inner voice again, because that voice, that's your soul speaking, and it always knows. So if you've noticed strange coincidences, unshakable fatigue, broken relationships, weird objects in your space, and now your intuition is screaming this is no longer random, this is a pattern, and recognizing it may be the very thing that sets you free. Stay grounded, stay conscious, and never ignore the whisper in your chest that says something's not right, because that whisper might just save your life.